With the first episode of our podcast in over a year having been released back in December, we are happy to continue strong and bring yet another fascinating personality into our digital halls. Joining us for this episode is someone who represents an institution each one of us has probably heard of since the first chemistry lessons back in school. Javier Garcia Martinez, past president of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, or EUPAC for short. He has served in the role of EUPAC president from January 2022 up until December of 2023, and has moved on to the position of past president with the beginning of the new year. Javier, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So, to introduce you a bit to our listeners, after studying chemistry at the University of Alicante and doing his PhD there, Javier went to the United States to complete several research stays at Caltech, UC Berkeley, and MIT, and returned to Alicante in 2005 to become a professor for inorganic chemistry. He joined EUPAC back in 2006 as a member of its inorganic chemistry division and served as its president from January of 2022 to December of 2023. Let us also get right into the questions for today's episode. So, Javier, since 2019, EUPAC has the yearly tradition of releasing the so-called Top 10 Emerging Technologies in Chemistry, a carefully curated list of the 10 most promising new advancements in chemistry, where you, Javier, have also played a major role in bringing us this yearly tradition. Tell us, how did this start?
So thank you for the opportunity and thank you for this podcast. This is fantastic and really happy to share a little bit of myself and IUPAC with our listeners. So since 2012, I'm being part of a group with the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is the group that organizes the Davos Summit every year that highlights 10 technologies that are presented to the head of states, prime minister, and leaders of industry in Davos. So the idea actually came from Economic Forum, Top 10 Emerging Technologies. And in 2019, during the IUPAC Centennial and also the International Year of the Periodic Table, you will remember, we were thinking to do the same for chemistry, to highlight those technologies that we think are important. I also want to mention what emerging means. So these technologies are just not scientific discoveries, are not fully commercial realities. It's something in between. Are technologies that are emerging from the lab and becoming commercial realities. Because also we want to inspire a new generation of scientists to invent the technologies and also to engage conversation. That's why every year we write an article in Chemistry International, that's the IUPAC news magazine, where we explain each one of these technologies, why they are exciting, why they're important, which are the risks, so how we need to deal with them, so to have proper conversation about the role of chemistry in building a more sustainable future. And the beauty of this initiative is that we actually make an open call for everyone to submit those technologies that he or she thinks are important. And right now, the call for 2025 is already open. So I invite everybody to let us know which technologies we should be recognizing in 2025. We at IUPAC selected a group of international experts to help us select from that pool of candidates that we are getting from all around the world, the top 10 that should be in next year's list. And we always look for excitement, diversity, things related with sustainability, but also with energy, health, the big issues. So I think it's a really beautiful initiative where once we learn a lot about how the community, the chemistry community, feel about what's the next big thing, and also a nice opportunity when we need to look at all those technologies and trying to list which is inspiring, engaging, diverse, and again, it's having a huge impact. And now we are celebrating the fifth edition already of this top 10 emerging technologies in chemistry list, and is making big waves. Let me tell you a little bit of a personal anecdote. Weeks ago, I was in Thailand in a major conference. It was such a big conference that a member of the royal family was there, and she is actually a chemist. She gave one of the talks there, and at the end of her talk, there was a big slide with the IUPAC top 10 emerging technologies that she was using to exemplify how chemistry is contributing to improve our health of the planet, to provide clean energy solutions, the whole realm of what chemistry can provide us with. So yeah, it was a really unexpected surprise where I could experience this beauty of this um, initiative, which really helped us, by just selecting a few technologies to provide examples of why chemistry is so important.
Fascinating. Thank you very much. We will also include the link to the current submissions in the description of our podcast episode.
Thank you for that, and I invite everybody to submit the favorite technologies.
So you said that everyone from all across the globe can submit their candidate to be considered in this year's UPAC top 10 lists. This must be quite a lot of submissions, I imagine. How many entries did you have last year, and did submissions eventually just start doubling up?
Yeah, absolutely. Every year we get more and more submissions. I don't remember last year, but maybe close to 100. We want to have as many as possible, and every year we are getting more entries. But it's not really about the number. The number is important. We want to have as many technologies as possible. We want to get candidate technologies from all around the world. So especially if somebody from Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, we are getting less from those parts of the world are listening to us. Please submit your technologies, and also in the form we ask why this is important. So if you feel that's important for your own community, something in your country, something in your city that you feel it could be solved using that description, why that technology in particular, it's important. It's really nice to read, how people feel about different chemistry technology. Sometimes is branch of chemistry related with, I don't know, maybe with physics, with quantum computing, the CRISPR-Cas9, or other fields. Sometimes more about artificial intelligence and chemistry. We have seen a lot of conversion in this field. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting all these entries and reading what is fascinating the chemistry community all around the world is great. So please submit your favorite technologies. Let us know why those are important to you in particular. Maybe you are doing research in that area, or you have read an article to make it personal, to make it relevant. Yeah, we are trying to get as many technologies as possible, especially for those parts of the world we are getting less candidates from.
It sounds like a beautiful story to connect the global sphere also to the more or less local sphere where UPEC is not really operating.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels really nice when you're reading these stories and some people are telling I'm working on this area, really fascinating. I think I'm going to be helping people by doing this or that. When it becomes personal, when you feel that some particular piece of research is important for somebody, then it becomes personal, even touching.
So with GPT language models in chemistry being one of the finals, the UPEC top 10 seem to follow suit with the recent trend of almost being an quote unquote AI everything. From ChatGPT writing school exams to deepfake news reporters and DALL-E artists. How could such an implementation of these models look like in chemistry? Are we talking about deep learning assisted drug discovery, maybe AI finding new synthesis routes circumventing toxic chemicals, or just plain ChatGPT helping with one's writer's block on the current publication?
So this is a difficult question because it's difficult for us to highlight in one particular technology the big influence that AI is having in chemistry. Already in the past, we have highlighted AI for chemistry, and that's very broad. And you already covered some of the examples where AI can help us to design experiments, to help us make sense of graphs. So there are many, many applications of AI. With this particular one, what we want to emphasize is the importance of large language models into chemistry. So now we have the opportunity to talk to machines in our own language and ask questions about chemistry. One of the papers that are summarizing that very nicely is a Nature Chemistry Review paper with a very, very telling title, The Future of Chemistry is Language. And I do believe that. And actually, IUPAC business, our business is the language of chemistry. So that's why we wanted to highlight like how in the future, but already now, but maybe even more in the future, chemists will be able to speak in their natural language, in their own language, to machines and have a conversation with machines that will help us design experiments, look at data, ask for evidence. I think that's going to really change the way users interact with machines. I'm not sure if everybody have a sense of how disruptive that is going to be. I think now we are in phase one of large language models and how we operate. So we use it for writing, short pieces of text. But what we are learning now is that we actually can start talking chemistry with machines in our own language without knowing how to code, but just in French, English, Japanese, and that's really break down the frontiers of communication between machines and humans. Of course, you can have that conversation to book your next flight with machine with your language, but instead of searching for a flight, you can look for a better catalyst for a particular reaction where the machines have access to millions of papers. That conversation can be very interesting. So that's what we are trying to describe when we are saying ChatGPT. Of course, we are not talking about that particular program. That was kind of a catchy way of saying that large language models open up the opportunity to talk chemistry with machines. And I think that conversation is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, it definitely already is fascinating. I myself come from a biochemistry background, and in biochemistry, in the protein crystallographics community, there's actually you probably already have heard of this, but the AI algorithm AlphaFold 2 kind of used the last decades of biocrystallographic data to design a new algorithm to predict protein folding better than any human can and with incredibly high accuracy. So thinking about how this can develop in the next couple of years or decades is fascinating.
But you see, you are saying like AlphaFold is one way of AI contributing to chemistry. What we are highlighting this year is different. It's not designing new algorithms. It's talking chemistry with your computer in your own language without writing a new algorithm. Just ask him in your own language to the machine, I'm going to do an experiment with iron supporting titania for, I don't know, zero partial oxidation. You tell me more about that. Can you summarize the main results? It's not an algorithm, it's an open question. It's not Googling, the top 10 papers on the field. Not. It's talking, in your own language, making natural questions and trying to get some hints on how to design experiments, in the main results in an area. I think, as I said before, the conversation is going to be very interesting, even if you don't know how to program or code or an algorithm. That's another field within the AI for people who are really developing new algorithms, which are more in that field, in that realm. And talking for everybody, just to have natural conversation. I think is really fascinating.
Absolutely. Speaking of trends, how extensive did the previous trends in the field of chemistry, like the rediscovery of electrochemistry or the boom renewable energy and energy storage, have gotten in the past years, follow suit with your yearly lists?
So if I would have to group the kind of technologies that we are highlighting here and the kind of technologies we are getting from the chemistry community as a whole, I would say they fall into three different pillars. One is energy. Energy is a big, big one, especially new ways of producing clean energy, green fuels, green hydrogen. The second one, also really big, is health. A lot of people working on biochemistry, enzymes related, new drugs. That's another big group of technologies. And the third one is digital. Everything digital, like AI and these kind of things, is another big pillar. Of course, there is also things that are in between, like electronics, nanoelectronics or flow chemistry, things that you could see there maybe in between these three pillars. But I would say the big trends are clean energy, health, and digital. In terms of new trends coming year after year, we're getting more about AI. AI is becoming a big player. It's not a new thing. It's not going to be the future. It's a reality. The chemistry textbooks, that AI is still not the main character, but it is in our research papers. If you follow the chemistry literature, you will see that machine learning techniques, AI, is now a main character. It's not a small thing. It's now becoming a major trend. It is in our list a year after year. It's still not in our textbooks, and I hope that our curricula will be adapted. So the gap between what we teach and what chemistry is possible, it will get smaller. To bridge that gap and making sure that the chemistry we teach is as close as possible to the chemistry that it is possible today.
Speaking of AI, I think for most people, the concept of AI is something that really surfaced in the last year. Was the AI taking more or less taking over on the horizon for the last years in your case, or did it come out of nowhere?
Well, it didn't come from nowhere because there were already, as you said before, people developing algorithms to design better experiments. But now we saw two different trends, I would say, within within the field of AI for chemistry. One, it was the conversion between AI and robotics. So we saw how people now are using robotics and AI to carry on experiments in a automatic way. We have seen many candidates around that idea, and of course there are papers there. So that's a big one. And the other one is large language models. That's the other big revolution. So you don't need the algorithms. Now is a natural conversation. And that's why we highlighted this year. AI is not coming from nowhere. I would say chemistry was a little bit behind biology, where the application of AI, machine learning, it was already a big thing a few years ago. And I think it's also becoming mainstream in chemistry, for example, for uh, discovering better alloys when you cannot test every single metal in your alloy, not the whole periodic table there, but machine learning can help us to find, the sweet spot. That thing was already possible a few years ago, but now we are doing other things like combining that with robotics. So it's not only predicting what's the best alloy, but actually robot doing the experiments in a way that chemistry discovery is going to be accelerated. But the new thing which is coming is, what I mentioned several times during the podcast, the possibility of having a conversation with your computer, even if you don't know anything about programming or coding. Everybody's invited to the AI revolution in chemistry through large language models.
Have you already seen widespread implementation of previous year's finalists, or are you still expecting them to surface in the next couple of years since they were all quite early in the pipeline?
Well, some of them are becoming, big things like, green ammonia, green hydrogen, green fuels. We are both from Europe. The European Commission is putting a lot of money, and some of the big companies around the world and are investing big money into this kind of projects. So now this is becoming a reality. Same thing with nanosensors, super hydrophobic surfaces, CRISPR-Cas9, also the gene editing technologies coming mainstream. We started only 5 years ago, so it has not been a long time, but I would say that the technologies we have been highlighting, they are already becoming, if not industrial realities, very close to that, at least, big pilot plants. There are companies, already here in Spain. We have a big project from green ammonia. Spain is one of the main producers of fertilizers, so we want to get rid of methane reforming to produce hydrogen for fabricating ammonia. That could be a nice way to reduce CO2 footprint of fertilizers production. So all these things are already becoming commercial. Some of the other technologies we highlighted, I think they're more for the future, but I'm happy with that. That not all of them, when we say emerging, some of them are almost there, like green hydrogen, which is in the newspapers every day basically, and others will never reach all the way to becoming commercial realities, but that's perfectly fine because one of the goals of this initiative is to have a conversation about chemistry. I hear about this technology. Let me learn more about this technology. Like this anecdote I told you before in Thailand, some people would say, "Oh, my this member of my royal family is telling me that this is important and I don't know anything about it. I need to read more about all these technologies. That is telling me that that's the next big thing, so maybe I should learn more about that." Or maybe I could be thinking, yeah, I'm getting some fundamental knowledge from attending the chemistry courses, but maybe there is something more than what I learned in the classroom. Yes, there is much more. And that's the beauty of this initiative. You learn your basic organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, how to operate in a chemistry lab. But then there are much more. Give you a glimpse of what chemistry can do for you and for the planet.
So the top 10 that UPAC releases every year are also kind of an opportunity for the general public to educate themselves or to get interested into new technologies and broaden their horizon.
So, for example, when you read about semi-synthetic life, superwettability, all these words may sound weird to you, but I hope where our students learn about this, they're going to feel the need to go and learn more about these technologies because they sound so cool and they are so cool. Now we can do things that looks like sci-fi, and that's I hope by highlighting these technologies, not only with these cool names, but actually with really nice science behind it, our students are going to jump and learn more about these and other examples. And also, these technologies highlight something very important. Many of these technologies, you could claim they are not chemistry technologies, but biology technologies or physics technologies. That is great because you see, we keep saying that chemistry is the central science. I don't know if it's central or not, but what's important is that we make connections with many other sciences. And these emerging technologies in chemistry highlights exactly that chemistry is all about making connections. And through these technologies, chemistry is connecting with biology, with energy, with society, with economics, climate change, with the planet, with jobs, with entrepreneurship. You know, how broad and how central is chemistry. Other thing that I would like to mention, many of these technologies are business opportunities. I hope that some of the people that will be learning about this technology will think, oh, wow, that is to be the next big thing in chemistry. I better start a company on this particular technology to become, the next successful entrepreneur. Or maybe if you are an investor, you have money to invest. Say, I would like to be investing in companies that are developing these technologies. They are not only fascinating, they are good for the planet. So, yeah, there are so many ways at looking at these technologies that hopefully they are going to inspire so brilliant ideas and so fascinating stories that hopefully you will be able to interview people that has been inspired by these technologies.
Yeah, we hope so too. With you being a professor for inorganic chemistry yourself, which one of the finalists this time has you personally the most excited? Or do you maybe also have an all-time favorite from the past years?
So there are two things that inorganic chemists are fascinated by. And if you talk to an inorganic chemist, after 10 minutes, we will be telling you either about the periodic table that we love. Inorganic chemistry is all about the periodic table. But if you wait long enough, we will tell you about the Haber-Bosch process, the nitrogen fixation, ammonia synthesis. That's the other thing we keep talking about. So Of course, we have green ammonia in our list, and I will love that technology to go fully commercial because when I teach nitrogen fixation, I know that where that hydrogen is coming from, and I usually don't tell how much CO2 we produce when we fixate that nitrogen. And because it's so important to produce fertilizers for the planet and for feeding our growing population, I wish that this technology will really become universal. And there are many ways of doing green ammonia. There are people, of course, using green hydrogen. That will be the obvious way to doing it. But again, as an inorganic chemist, one of the dreams, the holy grail of inorganic chemistry, is to fix nitrogen like bacteria does without hydrogen at room temperature with no pressure. It has been a big holy grail of inorganic chemistry, has not been accomplished so far. Electrochemistry is also, by the way, contributing in a big way to that goal of being able to produce ammonia from nitrogen without hydrogen, just with electrons in a electrochemistry. So for all these reasons, I think green ammonia as an organic chemistry professor is the one that really inspired me, and also because of the potential benefits for the planet. But there are many benefits. But since you mentioned, my job as a inorganic chemistry professor, I think that's the obvious answer.
There's also a question which beautifully spans many different aspects of chemistry. So, like you already mentioned, we're going from organic chemistry to electrochemistry, and then maybe also to biochemistry or biotechnology, and sort of a multifaceted approach to address one question or solve one solution that is important for all of us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we know enzymes do that very efficiently with nitrogenase. We know that a lot of people try to do that with electrochemistry, so there's a lot of physical chemistry involved. It's important for the planet. It's very important to fight climate change. It can be done with green hydrogen. So, yeah, you see, as soon as you start talking about one of these technologies, boom, you have everything. You have fascinating chemistry, you have economy, the planet, your fundamental chemistry. You need to know your fundamentals. So I hope that is what we are going to achieve through this initiative, and that's what at IUPAC we are so keen at making this initiative so as global as possible.
Yeah. Circling back to the local and global spheres where UPEC tries to accomplish education and awareness with the yearly tradition of releasing the top 10, how does IUPAC also contribute to make this vision a reality?
First of all, we are reaching chemistry education through system thinking. We are inventing new ways of doing a more effective teaching by connecting the molecular world with other aspects of our lives, with the economy, with society, with climate. That's a big, big project to teach chemistry in context. So when people read chemistry, not only learns about the molecular world, but also connects that with other things like climate change, environment. So that's one way going towards chemistry education, which is so important. The other important is how we are making sure that chemistry goes to the digital era with a common language. That's critically important because IUPAC has been key to create a common language of chemistry. It's nomenclature and terminology. So several years ago, more than a decade ago, IUPAC with other partners established a new chemistry language for machines. It's called INCHI, the International Chemistry Identifier. It's a series of numbers and letters that codify for any molecule in an unambiguous way, and it's already there. And we have this language used around the world. But more recently, launched Digital IUPAC, which is a whole initiative to create not only a chemistry language for machines, but actually making sure that follows the FAIR principles. And by FAIR, I mean findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. It's very important because when you are sharing infrared spectra data or your X-ray data with different formats, it becomes very complicated. So we are trying to create universal standards for chemistry. It's huge, it's really big, challenge. Reactions, not only for molecules, for spectroscopic data, for reaction data, all of that it requires coordination with other institutions. So we are doing this with the International Science Council to make sure that digital standards are also standardized, universal. Otherwise, every program is going to use a different format, and that's going to be a chaos. So we speak one single digital language in chemistry, and we are working also towards that end.
So that pretty much sums it up. Once again, thank you very much, Javier, for joining us today, and thank you for listening.
Right. Thank you, Carl. Bye bye now. All the best.
We will have links to both the 2023 IUPAC Top 10 as well as the submission form for the 2024 nominees in the description down below, and would encourage all of you to nominate your candidates for this year. Submissions are open until the 31st of March. If you want to hear more about IUPAC and would like to ask Javier a question, keep an eye out on our social media channels, as we have a follow-up episode planned in the near future, where we also collect questions from our community. In the meantime, you can also listen to our last episode, where Marie shows you what it means to have a career in science communication, or our other episodes, which are all available online. Until next time.